It's a Game of Thrones episode.
Hello, welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm Russell.
And I am the Ben.
And we're back. So, guys, this is also news for Ben. Ben, I had to return a favor on another podcast this week, yesterday, called
Is that right?
Called Trado Without a Radio, with my buddy Jose Trado and my buddy Renee. So I had to return a favor, so they are on an episode of this podcast, I think releasing Sunday, and we just talk about pretty much anything. I told the story about how I went real hard on a mom's weekend at Purdue, and it's really incriminating. So, yeah. Mom's weekend, it's a fun weekend at Purdue. Hella moms. But yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, so that was what we talked about. We also had just a conversation, and for people listening to this episode interested in that, Trado and I know each other from work. We used to work together. So that was just essentially listening to three guys just talk to each other. And there was no real direction or topic, but it was interesting. It was kind of like the riffing we have, but for an entire episode, and we didn't really have a topic, but it's solid. So, the intro of the episode says it's a Game of Thrones episode. We're going to start with some news, and then just talk about some of our predictions for the new season of Game of Thrones, and then get back into season reviews of them, just because Ben and I are both really tired and really swamped, and we're also writing a movie, and that's taking up a lot of our time. So this podcast, of course, we have to put it out because that's what we do. But writing this film and everything has been really, really time consuming and really taxing. So sorry if this episode isn't the next scheduled Game of Thrones episode. That will be next week. So hold tight. It's all good.
We felt it would be a disservice to you loyal listeners and new listeners if you're here to give you a half-assed assessment of a couple of seasons. We respect you guys more than that, so we're not going to do you bad like that. We're going to give you a better, more complete assessment and review and our thoughts next time, instead of instead of thinking less of you guys and thinking you'll accept that. So
yeah,
we got you.
Yeah, it's all about quality and our standards, and we don't want to, like Ben said, we don't want to half-ass something. We want to full-ass something. That's what we do here. We full-ass our podcasts. Speaking of full-ass, have you heard the Avengers theory or the Avengers thing where it's the way to kill Thanos is have Ant-Man go tiny and crawl up Thanos' ass and turn into Giant Man?
I mean, it's the obvious solution to that big problem, but it's not the one that you could go with when you are a Disney property and a PG-13 rated film.
If that's what they did, that would become the greatest anti-joke ending to a 11-year or 12-year film lead-up. If that's how you killed Thanos, you just hit Ant-Man, run in and then bust through him. Just problem solved, motherfuckers. And that's how the film ended, just like that. And it was the ending of The Sopranos. It just cuts to black. There's no post-credit scene, nothing. It'd be they just trolled all of us for this long.
It'd be even better if they went through 2.5 hours worth of a movie to lead up to the big showdown with Thanos one more time. Ant-Man does that, but they did not figure out how to bring back everyone that was just killed and dissolved. Yeah, and then all of a sudden the credits come up and you hear the Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
Yeah, and just Larry David, just a picture of him with the finger. It's wow, they did it. Disney. Disney did it. They finally destroyed everybody. But so, speaking of the Avengers, because we have some Avengers news. The runtime of the film is 3 hours and 2 minutes. They've released the runtime for theaters, so they know how many to schedule in a day. 3 hours for this is pretty long. So
is that officially the longest MCU movie? Okay, because I was gonna say I don't think the next longest was like a 2.5 hour like Avengers style movie.
Yeah, I think it was Infinity War was like 2 hours and 40 something. So this is going to be at least 20 minutes longer. I have a few theories. So here we go. I want to see what you think. I think a lot of what we saw in the trailer is not real, because in the previous trailer for Avengers Infinity War, that scene where all of them are running with like the Hulk like towards the Thanos' alien army, that's not in the film. And there's a few other shots that are not there. And Marvel is famous for doing fake outs in trailers where there's scenes in trailers that are not in the movie. They're not in the movie, or the scene is in the movie, but they remove a character or they'll add a character to throw people off. I think the scene where all of the Avengers are wearing their quantum armor, the red and white armor, where they're doing that glory shot, first, I don't think that scene is going to be in the movie. I just have a feeling that it might not be in the movie, and I think having Captain America or having Tony Stark in there is a fake out. I think either that's an alternate version of Tony Stark. It could be like
the one where he's just kind of floating aimlessly through space.
Yeah, so that version of Tony Stark I think dies, and they go back in time because there is time travel in this movie or something, and they go and get a different version of Tony Stark. I have a feeling that's how they bring people back, is they just go back to an alternate version of time, and they're like, oh, hey, this is how we solve this, because like Doctor Strange was like, there's like 10 million different outcomes. One of them works. And so I think what happens in this film, this is just my theory, is they go to fight Thanos, and then they get their asses handed to them. And then they kind of regroup, and they're like, okay, let's try time travel. Or maybe they steal one of the stones. Maybe the
time stone.
Yeah, they'll probably steal the time stone from him, go back, or like scurry away, like broken, go back in time, warn people, and then that's how the film's going to end. It's going to be an alternate time loop. And that's why I think there's those flashbacks in the trailer to Iron Man 1 and Thor and Captain America. Because what if, for the film, they redo those movies? Where, like, if you watch the movies, like, in chronological order, you're like, that's okay, cool. And then when you watch Endgame, you're like, oh my god, they rewrote those films for this.
Now, answer me this. In this universe, can any of the Infinity Stones be destroyed?
Yes, the Infinity Stones can be destroyed. In the comics, they can be. Infinity Stones are not, like, unbreakable.
Okay, so they could time travel back.
Destroy one.
Find them all, like, where they know they were.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they, in the films, they actually knew where every single one of them, because Thanos did find some of them on his own.
So I think that might be a solution. I'm interested because in the comics, there is a precedent for them going to alternate timelines and alternate universes and getting different versions of characters. Like, I think someone's going to correct me on this, but Tony Stark in the current run of Marvel, I know Curtis, who listens to this, will probably correct me because he's like a comic book aficionado. They went back and like the normal Tony Stark is dead, and the Tony Stark in the comics now is an alternate version of him. They just like replaced him with, like in Rick and Morty, where they go to a different universe and just like kill themselves there, and then they just step into that and they're like, nothing ever happened. I think they may do something like that in Marvel, and then you're like, whoa. And that's how, like, because I think Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, so Captain America and Iron Man, their contracts with Marvel are up. I have a feeling either they're both going to die or they're both going to do something to those characters where they're like frozen in carbonite or something, that kind of thing, where they're going to be inactive for the next 10 years and they'll bring them back and people get crazy hype.
Yeah, either die off or they'll pass the mantle on to the next person. And
I think for Captain America, it's going to be Bucky because the Winter Soldier becomes Captain America, but so does Falcon. They both become Captain America at different times in the comics. And then for Iron Man, I think they're going to do Ironheart, which is a young girl becomes Iron Man. I think they're going to do that.
You have not seen Captain Marvel yet, correct?
I have not seen Captain Marvel.
Okay, then I will.
Yeah, do not say anything because I'm seeing it either Friday or Saturday. Just because I might see it tomorrow because one of my buddies, shout out to Kyle, who I think listens to some of these episodes. Sup, Kyle? We're talking about you. Wants to see it. Okay. And he's a big comic book guy.
Without giving anything away from Captain Marvel, and I agree, or I speculate that I do think that Ironheart will be the next iteration of Iron Man. Mm-hmm. For reasons that I've seen in Captain Marvel. However, these could be completely wrong. It's not like this is definitive. This is just complete speculation on my part.
Yeah, and no, I think we're just speculating on all of this right now. And none of this is factual. We have literally no way to back this up. Weirdly, I do know somebody who works for Disney. I just know a person, and I'm so tempted to text them and be like, do you know anything? And even if they did and they texted me, Disney would come and murder their family. The KGB. It's like guys in black SUVs are like, did you talk about Endgame? And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then just pull out guns. It's like, what did you tell them? What do they know? And then there's going to be feds that come through the windows here. And they're like, are you talking about Endgame? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, the Disney empire will come after you if you say anything. Which is totally a joke. Disney, please don't come after us. Don't shut down this podcast. But yeah, so that's definitely a thing. But that's Endgame news. I think I'll definitely have more. There's a few more pieces. But we're going to move on to the next piece of news, which is images of the Joker movie. We have another image. It's a black and white image of Joaquin Phoenix in black and white, just sitting. What is your thought, or what are your thoughts of the new Joker movie coming out?
I want to say that the success of this film is either going to pretty much put the lid back on sort of this, or put the lid back on kind of the DC Batman corner of their cinematic universe, because I think they've had too many balls dropped as far as all the Zack Snyder DC movies. Suicide Squad was a big old turd. Really, their only two things that they've had going for them lately were Wonder Woman, and Shazam is getting pretty good reviews right now before its release. So I think that this spin-off Joker film needs to be critically well received and a box office hit for Warner Brothers to keep doing what they're doing as far as these side movies that don't focus squarely on your big guys like Batman and Superman. At least that's what I want to believe. I mean, they could just keep doing what they're doing and churning out mediocre subpar crap. But I hope that this movie's good because I like Joaquin Phoenix. I like him as an actor. I think what we've seen so far of him as the Joker, pre-Joker, it looks interesting. Yeah, we'll just have to see when the movie comes out.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of these side quels. If they want to reboot the universe, they could reboot that whole universe in this 1980s version of the Joker and Batman. They could do that and just completely retcon everything that came before. And they're if this Joker movie does crazy numbers, they could just be I think Jeff Johns is the head of DC right now. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but I think it is Jeff Johns is the creative head. He's the Kevin Feige for DC right now. If that happens, Jeff Johns could literally go in a press conference and be oh yeah, we're doing an Aquaman movie, and you could even have Jason Momoa, but set it back then, with a time vortex or something. And then you could just reboot the whole universe in this kind of style, and that would solve a lot of their problems, because then you could recast Superman. You could have Wonder Woman in it, because she's, pretty much, immortal. You could have all of these things in this film, or in this, new version, and you would solve a lot of, the criticisms. And then when they get back up to the modern day, whenever Batman v Superman happened in Man of Steel, you'd just be like, oh yeah, it's a different version of Superman. This is a different universe. There we go. Boom.
Yeah, I think Warner Brothers should just let their little corporate hands have been, you can feel them all over the Zack Snyder films.
Oh yeah.
Like how they've been messed with, and especially Suicide Squad. I want to say that the director of Suicide Squad had a pretty different idea and vision for what he wanted to do before the suits at Warner Brothers were like, nah, we're gonna tinker with this, and we're gonna keep this at PG-13. I think they need to really just kind of give some of these properties to directors that have a unique vision, a unique story to tell, and just let them do their thing.
Yeah, they need a film.
If these guys are dedicated enough and know enough about these universes and these stories that they want to adapt, then they're going to be passionate about it. Just let them have their way with it, and to an extent. Obviously, you can't let there's the business decisions. They have some merit in order to keep things from going completely off the rails. But if someone wants to do an R-rated Joker movie, let them. It would be box office gold if people saw a preview of the Joker actually doing the shit that you've always just kind of saw off-screen deaths or something like that. And I'm not talking overt gratuitous violence or something, but you know what? If you show the Joker just straight shooting someone in the face at an R-rated level, that gives you a sense of, okay, we're not fucking around anymore, and we want to tell a real story here.
What you could do, also, just before we go any further, the news that I'm getting is from Barstool Sports, is where I'm getting this from. So if anyone wants to follow it, it's Lights Camera Barstool. It's their podcast. They post news, and they have really good news, and they filter it, and we have a very similar style. So thank you to them. But they could do a Joker film that's like Saw almost. Where you have him like Jigsaw. You can have him as a mastermind, or it'd be like Seven, where you're he's this legitimate psychopath who kills people, and you could go in that direction if you really want to lean into it. You can go there. But I think for some reason DC is scared to do that, and I don't completely understand.
I think that they're just trying to hold on to, or they're kind of grasping at straws. Or that's the wrong term. They're trying to do anything they can to keep hold of what little, I think, fan service that they have left.
Yeah.
There are still people that give these movies something like the benefit of the doubt. They're not universally panned, but they're just, but I think they take the little bit of praise that they get and they magnify that by a million times. They're like, okay, let's do that more and more in the next film, even though they're not taking the right lessons.
Yeah, they're learning the wrong things. I completely agree with that. So let's hope the Joker is good. I'm glad Shazam is good. And Aquaman was good. So maybe we're on a positive streak here. Maybe they finally started hearing people and been like, okay, let's try something different.
Right, they're not taking themselves as seriously, and they're moving away from the kind of alpha male broness of Zack Snyder's filmography with the DC universe. Yeah,
and that worked for Watchmen, and it worked for 300, which are both comic book properties. And because that's what those properties are, he essentially just adapted them onto the screen. And I know he changed stuff. I know people are huge fans of both those. I've read both of the books. I understand. But they work better for that than they do for DC comic book movies. They're just different, and they have a different amount of history behind them. So you have to pay the respect to that as well. And I think he only took one sliver of the pie of what Superman is and what Batman is and what these other characters are. And that's where we ran into issues. So, the next piece of news has to do with the movie Dune, the remake of Dune. And Josh Brolin posted a picture where he is playing Frank Herbert, maybe, who was played by Sir Patrick Stewart in the original Dune. And there's a picture of him looking hella ripped. And
well, I think Frank Herbert was the author of the original Dune book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just reading this very loosely. But yeah, he's playing whatever character Patrick Stewart did. So
okay.
But yeah, good for Josh Brolin. Good for him for being in every single movie. I always get him and Harbour, who's in the new Hellboy. What's his first name?
David Harbour.
David Harbour and Josh Brolin look kind of alike, and I've gotten them confused a few times.
They carry kind of the same attitude and like kind of aura around them.
Yeah, they're like this gruff kind of like cop vibe.
Right. You could probably like interchange them in their roles and get the same results because they're both awesome.
Yeah, and they're both fantastic actors. So, next we have a weird piece of news. The first trailer for the new Dora the Explorer movie came out.
I saw this. It's weird. It
is really weird. First, because it's live action. Second, because the CGI is hot shit. Like, Ben, you have small children. I've never watched Dora the Explorer because that never was in my time. So I don't know enough. But, like, the CGI for this looks like legitimate. It looks like Jumanji, like, from, like, the 90s.
Yeah. From what I noticed, it was, like, nothing spectacular. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't really expect much else from like a Nickelodeon adaptation of one of their own preschool children's programs. I don't think they're going to dump like $200 million budget into this, but just the vibe of it didn't really seem like it was aimed necessarily at the audience that the cartoon is aimed at.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider, but like in a weird parody sense. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and like Dora is played by is in high school in this film.
Yeah.
And with like the actual the cartoon Dora is like a small child, like 4, 5, 6 years old, something like that. So it's a lot of weird creative decisions they're going with.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. But I mean, I'm not going to go see that. So Ben, maybe you'll have to go see that.
And my kids don't watch Dora the Explorer anyway.
Oh,
so
you dodged that bullet.
I'm not in danger of having to go take them to that.
Yeah. Okay, so good. You dodged that. And I think Avengers is something like 28 days away from today. So let's count down. Pre-sale tickets, I think, do go on sale like April 1st or something. That's what I've heard. The rumors I've heard April 1st. So if you're looking to get in early, check a Fandango and stuff because that's probably where you'll see it.
Let me ask you this. Around your area, are pre-sale tickets really a necessity, like in a big city area?
Yes.
Okay, because here, it's really not that big of a factor.
If you're trying to go opening night, pre-sale is a big deal. If you're trying to, and this is a movie that I 100% will miss work the next day for because I'm up till 4 a.m. kind of thing. Like for this movie, 100p, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to have to get those pre-sale tickets. And even if it turns into me going by myself, I'll go by myself to this movie. I don't even care if no one else wants to go with me. But I do know my girlfriend will probably want to go because she's into these. So, thank you. The next piece of news we have are the Avengers Avenge the Fallen trailers came out. And they look pretty cool. So all the dead characters are in black and white, and all the living characters are in color.
Yeah, I've only seen just the posters. I've been intentionally staying away from the rest of the trailers now that I've kind of seen the first full-length trailer. I'm like, okay. I mean, I know I was going to go see this movie anyway.
Yes.
So I was just like, yeah, okay. We'll just go in blind for the rest of it.
I have a fan theory about the trailers. This is my fan theory about the trailers. Not the trailers. Jesus H. Christ. The posters. You know how everyone is facing one direction?
Mm-hmm.
There's certain characters that are facing that same direction that are alive. I have a feeling that the characters that are facing that direction when they're alive will die, and the characters that are facing the opposite direction, like, see how they're facing the opposite direction, are going to live. I think that's like a little hint.
Those were some So you were saying the ones that are facing to the left.
Yes.
And those, I don't know about some of those. I mean,
I don't know.
One or two, I'm thinking like, yeah, absolutely, just because of reasons we just previously talked about a few minutes ago as far as contracts and all that. But a couple of those, like, I don't know, maybe not. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I could definitely see them for this going crazy and legitimately killing a bunch of characters off. Like, being like, oh, you thought they were safe? Nope, they're actually dead now. They are dead. Their neck has been snapped. They've been blown into a billion pieces, and there's no amount of... Or it's like, let's say the Infinity Stones get destroyed and they die after that. Like, let's say the Infinity Stones get destroyed 3/4 through the movie and Thanos is still around, so now they can't reverse things. And then he kills people. I think that could happen. Because then you eliminate that, oh wait, you can go back in time. But if they destroyed their going back in time method in the film, which I think they will, or their alternate dimension method, like they are able to use it 1 or 2 times and then for some reason it breaks, and then characters die, they're like, oh shit, this is real now. So that is my theory.
Do you think there's going to be any characters that were gotten or disintegrated at the end of Infinity War that will not come back when they inevitably bring back a lot of half of the world that was just eviscerated?
I think all of them are coming back. I don't think Gamora is coming back because she's inside of one of the stones, and I think they're going to destroy the stones, and it's going to destroy Gamora. I have a feeling she's not coming back. I have a feeling that Loki isn't coming back because his neck was snapped. The Vision won't come back, and whoever else died not related to the snap is not coming back. That is my theory. So, like, the characters that were non-snap related, they're dead.
So do you think Gamora is going to be a no-show for Guardians 3?
Yes. I could be completely wrong. If they do an alternate dimension, my theory is officially wrong. But if they do, like, the reverse of the snap, those guys weren't involved in the snap. So that wouldn't touch them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless they did a time thing and they went back to save Loki. You never know. Or they could go back in time and have Loki not give Thanos the Tesseract. Which could be another thing. Because I know the Tesseract is in Captain Marvel as well. I haven't seen it, but I know it plays a part.
A very entertaining part in
the
film.
I have heard that, and I'm super excited to see it. I'm more excited to see that than I was to see Ant-Man 2, which I did like. A lot of people kind of didn't. I thought Ant-Man 2 was fun. It was like a fun, like, oh, cool, like a popcorn movie. Next piece of news that we have is Colin Firth, Benedict Cumberbatch, and more have joined Sam Mendes' World War I movie called 1917. So we have Rob Stark is going to be in it. Benedict Cumberbatch and Colin Firth are all going to be in this movie. What do you think about that?
Good cast of main players there. I have not heard anything about this film. I do like Sam Mendes, though, so
yeah,
we'll see how. And I think World War I is definitely a place in history that is lacking as far as cinematic representation.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you have literature like All Quiet on the Western Front. That's the big World War I book. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see a good World War I depiction in film.
Yeah, I do agree with you. So I think it'll be cool. I think if anything, it'll be interesting because I think the last big World War I movie we got was War Horse. If we're looking at World War I movies that are historically accurate, because I know Wonder Woman was World War I, but obviously not historically accurate. But I think War Horse was the last World War I movie we got.
I don't think I ever watched that.
Really? It's really good. I really like it.
I think that was that was during a streak of Spielberg movies where I was just like, this really doesn't look interesting to me. But, I mean, they were probably good.
Yeah, no, I do understand what you mean there. I'm going through that right now. After the post, which is Old People Avengers, I am 100%. And after his whole thing where he didn't want streaming movies in the Academy Awards, I've kind of hopped off of the Spielberg ship.
But
a
now
little
he's
bit.
but now he's shilling for Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, which is so weird. I'm sure Tim Cook went to Steven Spielberg's like estate and was like, "Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's a check. I'm gonna write a 9. I'm gonna keep writing zeros until you say yes." And he was just like writing zeros on this check, and Steven was like, "Okay, now we're good." And like Tim Cook is like sweating as he's writing these zeros. He's like, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, please say yes every time I write a zero." And yeah, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, it's weird. He probably has his reasons for doing it, but and I don't disparage him for taking a check from Apple for endorsing their new TV service, but it's just like it just seems odd.
Yeah.
After his whole spiel about Netflix and them not deserving Oscar nods.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very, I don't want to say out of character because I don't know his character well enough, but it's very off-brand in the last 3 weeks. If he's trying to set a brand, it's very off of that brand. Excuse me. And then I think the last 2 pieces of news that we have for this are Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand and Joel Cohen are filming a Macbeth movie.
Is this like an adaptation of Shakespeare Macbeth, or is this
I
something
believe
just
so.
called Okay.
I think it's an adaptation of Macbeth, but I mean, Lion King is Hamlet, so like it might be something like that, where it is the plot of Macbeth, but you just change everything else out. Maybe. Because, spoiler alert, Lion King is Hamlet, guys. And Pocahontas, Avatar, and all those are the same as Last of the Mohicans and the same as Last Samurai. They're all essentially the same movie.
And the Coen brothers, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, is just the Iliad.
Yeah, it is the Iliad. So that might be what this is, which I'm fine with because I love what the Coen brothers do. Ballad of Buster Scruggs was fantastic. So,
yeah. But is that just Joel Coen though for this one?
That's what it says in this article. So
okay.
I don't know. Maybe Ethan Coen is also working on it. Is that his name?
Right. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the other Coen brother. Then
right. Yeah, Joel and Ethan.
Yeah. And then the final piece of news is from our boy Guillermo del Toro. The trailer for Scary Stories You Tell in the Dark. The trailer came out today.
Ooh, I'll have to watch that. I have not seen it.
It looks
I've
really
just seen
good.
like the small snippets that they released like for Super Bowl and all that.
Yeah. So my boy Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorite directors, I'm always down for whatever he's making because he makes creepy stuff and he makes it very appealing and he makes it very like dense, and I like that. And I'm not going to say anything about the movie Ben and I are writing, but Guillermo del Toro is a big influence on some of the ideas that I have in this film. So that's the thing. So Ben, for the second half of this podcast, because we're making this podcast a little shorter this week, guys, because we're both very tired. What are your thoughts about the new season of Game of Thrones, noting that after the last episode of Game of Thrones, after episode 6, there will be a 7th episode, which is just a documentary for 2 hours. I
did not know that.
On the creation of Game of Thrones. I don't know if it's just season 8 or all of Game of Thrones, but that following Sunday, so that same spot after Game of Thrones has wrapped up, they're doing a 2-hour documentary.
Okay, cool. Like a retrospective, maybe of like the whole show.
And I think they're going to probably talk about the new series because they have 2 new series coming out for in the world of Westeros. So we won't get any of the same characters. Maybe we'll get the Night King. I don't know. But it's going to be like 4,000 years in the past when they're building the wall is what it's going to focus around. And like the golden age of Westeros kind of thing. So that'll be interesting for a like a little look in that. I know Nicole Kidman is going to be in that show. So they have a few huge names in that show, like gigantic, like well-known names. Just because the hype around Game of Thrones is so real. But
and Nicole Kidman has another series on HBO, Big Little Lies.
Yeah,
it's called. Yeah, she stars in that, so she does have she has an in with HBO, so that's not surprising that they got her for a big new show.
I feel like she went to them and she's like, "Can I be in the new Game of Thrones show?" She's like, "I love dragons and I love Game of Thrones so much. I want sweet outfits and a cool sword." And they're like, "Yeah, we got you."
And she's probably tired of speaking in an American accent for all of her shows.
Yeah,
so she's like, "Can I just speak in my normal Aussie accent?"
Yeah, because all of her movies, she does not ever use an Australian accent, which is
it's very rare.
Yeah, in the movie Australia with Hugh Jackman, who's also Australian, in the movie about Australia that takes place in Australia. She has an Australian accent. So, yeah, most people don't know she's from Australia. Same as like Russell Crowe is from Australia. And so is everyone's favorite anti-Semite Mel Gibson is from Australia. So
favorite and anti-Semite.
Yeah, it's everyone's favorite anti-Semite, Mel Gibson. Which is, wait, I have a question about Mel Gibson. That was a weird sentence. With filmmakers, because I talked about it on that podcast I did with Trado, and we're going to bring that up real quick before Game of Thrones. With someone like him, can you go back and watch Braveheart or like like The Patriot or something like that, knowing it's Mel Gibson? Because personally, I can't.
Well, it's certainly different for everybody. This is kind of an approach that I can't for the life of me remember where I first heard this, so I can't give proper credit to where it's due, but just know that this is not an original thought in my head. You can enjoy this like Mel Gibson or any other person that's been caught up in controversy or done some bad, nasty shit. You can enjoy their stuff up to the point to where their bad shit happened or was made public. So for Mel Gibson, his like little anti-Semitic remarks, I think that all came out like post what's it called, Passion of the Christ and Apocalypto.
Yeah.
Like I think it came out like right after Apocalypto. So like anything post that, you kind of have to be like, oh, this guy is like still making movies. Like I can't really support him. But all the stuff prior to that, you were completely unaware of his misdeeds,
who he was,
his bad shit, who he really was. I think you're still allowed to enjoy that. And you know what? For anybody, you can like whatever the hell you want. Don't let us make rules that don't apply to everybody. It's just like this is at least the thing that I thought sounded the best. Yeah. So stuff like with
Kevin Spacey.
Like maybe Kevin Spacey. Like he was in a ton of shit that's just so good, and he's so good in. And then you find out he's a sex pest and like just an absolute creep.
Worst.
Yeah. So like from now on, I'm not going to be able to enjoy anything he, is able to put out or is allowed to be in.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's actually a pretty good mentality to go into it with, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I forgot that Mel Gibson did Passion of the Christ, which is essentially a movie of... Okay, this isn't going to get religious. I'm Catholic. That movie, I've seen that movie on a few occasions. We actually watched it at Purdue in Ben's class. We watched Passion of the Christ.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't remember what class it was for. I think it was terrorism and cinema. We watched Passion of the Christ.
That's an odd choice for that.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure that's what we watched it for. I've taken a few classes with this professor. For people who didn't go to Purdue or don't know anything about Purdue, this is not interesting to you. But, yeah, we watched it for that. And I forgot that movie is just almost like gore porn of people whipping Jim Caviezel for 3 hours.
Yeah, it is all it is.
And it's like...
And that movie made so much fucking money when it came out.
It did, and that's the thing. It's like, as someone who's very like lightly religious and stuff, like there's an important story there, but they kind of missed the mark. Like that story, I guess it's about like Jesus and like his struggle. And sorry if anyone's listening to this and gets offended by that, but like you can make that movie. You don't have to make it so horrible and so gritty to watch in every way. Like, I understand this is a horrible thing that happened to this innocent person, but that movie is a real schlock to get through. Like, you could have done that movie the same way Steven Spielberg did Schindler's List. Schindler's List is incredibly powerful and one of the most powerful movies like The Pianist that you can watch. But it's also not gore porn. You could have done that movie differently. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Me not being a I wasn't a particularly religious person when that came out, and now I'm not at all. But I'm sure there was a reason given by Gibson himself, like as to why the movie was so graphic in its depictions of violence against Jesus. Probably just like this is the absolute suffering that he went through for your sins. Like there was probably merits to not watering that down.
Of course. I'm not saying that you should water it down. There's a difference between, I think, watering something down and not showing something. Or, like, more like inferencing it. Because, like, also that movie, in so many ways, having watched it in the last 2 years, makes all of the, like, Jewish leaders in the movie look like bad guys. And, yeah, okay. Believe what you want to believe and have your own views, but like that movie is just so rough to get through, and there's like so many kind of almost problematic things about that film where you're like, you watch it, you're like, also they casted a white guy as Jesus, which is kind of problematic in a lot of different ways, but that's not important. I don't know. I have a bunch of gripes with that film. And I think a lot of other people do for different reasons, but from a cinematic aspect, that movie they linger too much on the wrong things, in my opinion.
Okay. I have ever actually seen it, so I can't make a qualified opinion about it. And I really have no desire to see this movie.
Yeah, and like just as like a post thing, yes, it's an important story, and I believe like if you're Catholic and you're older and you want to watch it, you should. It is like, there's a reason it did so well in the box office, because it's, objectively speaking, a good film. There's just some problems with it. And it's not a perfect film, and that's what I'm saying. And I know at least one person's going to write me or say something about blah, 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 blah. Sorry if you get pissed off. It is just my opinion on a film, not on Jesus and all this other stuff. But yeah, that film could have just been handled differently. Also, don't cast a white guy as Jesus. Come on. Yeah, but that's that. So... Why did we start talking about Jesus? It's okay. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Game of Thrones. Ben, how do you think the last episode is going to end?
The very last one.
Yeah, episode 6 of the show.
It's hard to tell whether they're going to stick with the structure of the previous seasons to where the big episode of the season is like the penultimate one.
Yeah.
Or if they're really going to save some big holy shit moments for the last episode. I can't decide whether it's going to be that or if they're going to use the last episode as a sort of like coming down, like a cool down. Here's how everyone that's still alive is going to deal with the fallout of what just happened in the previous 5 episodes.
Yeah, so for those of you who've never read the books, and yes, now I owe Ben another drink at Lollapalooza. We're still keeping that up. The books are told in point of view. So they're told from someone's perspective each chapter. The books also aren't in exact chronological order. So an entire book, so books 2 and 3 take place at the same time. And there's events that'll take place before and after each other. Kind of like if you've ever read The Lord of the Rings, they do similar things. The events of the books can happen simultaneously, even if it's a book later. It's like you're jumping back and forth. Since a lot of what's been in the shows recently hasn't been written in the books yet, or the books haven't been released yet, I have a feeling, so there's going to be 7 books or whatever. The last 2 books are not out. I feel like most of the last season was most of the second to last book. This next season will be mostly the last book. So I think only the first 2 episodes, which are like the big battle that we've seen in the trailers, I think that's only episode 1 and 2. The next 4 episodes, they haven't shown us one frame of, because that's like Dream of Spring or Song of Spring, the last book. I think there's big spoilers, like a bunch of holy shit moments will happen in this battle, but I think that Night King and all of that will be conquered in episode 1 and 2. I think that's going to be a big throw off, and the next 4 episodes are going to be like epilogue and setting stuff up, and going to be like how season 1 was, where it's a lot of breaths of fresh air and something completely different. This is my theory for the show. Like, I think season 6 will be almost like, it's going to be like a roller coaster. We're going to hit the peak in episode 2 and 3, then 4, 5, and 6 are going to be a come down and kind of ending where we started.
So you think that we're starting off with like the Battle of Winterfell, getting the pretty much the winter is here moment out of the way, and then back to, okay, oh wait, we still have to figure out who is the rightful person to be sitting on this throne, if the throne is even going to be there. I
think, yes, that is my suspicion. The actors have also said that the Battle of Winterfell took 50 days to film. For frame of reference, I think the longest filming fight scene or battle in cinema was the Battle of Helm's Deep, which I think was 40 days of something, or night shoots. And then it was like the Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones, and then the Battle of Pelennor Fields in Lord of the Rings. So it was like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. But this Game of Thrones one is an extra 10 more days. So apparently this battle is a 2-hour-long battle. The whole episode, I think, is a battle. But
it's gonna be exhausting to get through in the best way possible. Like, there's gonna be moments where we're like, yeah, and then we're gonna hit those valleys where it's like someone we absolutely adore through the entire show has just bit the dust.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna go back up, and we're all gonna need a fucking cigarette.
Yeah,
and a hard shot of something after this episode.
Yeah, that's like that episode. You have to go to a bar and watch it with a bunch of people and cry with people in public, because if you're watching that one by yourself, you're not going to work on Monday. Like, you're gonna be too sad. You're gonna be like, hey man, they just killed off my favorite character. I'm taking a sick day. And just hang up the phone. And then your boss is like, I'm also not in. They killed my favorite character. And you're like, okay. Yeah, it's going to be a day of mourning. The flags are going to be at half staff. That's all I'm going to say.
2 questions for you. Who are you most, not necessarily who would you be saddest to go? This could be the same answer.
Okay.
But who are you most afraid of dying? Like, who's the character you're most afraid for their life? Because you feel like they really don't have a chance, or you want them to make it through.
Yes. So I don't know any of this because I'm just a normal person like you listening. Jon Snow and Daenerys, I have a feeling they're not making it out. I feel like they've been built up so much that it'd be too obvious if they made it out. I think they're making it close to the end, but they are not making it to the end. For one of them is going to literally or figuratively get stabbed in the back. I have a feeling.
If that outcome comes to fruition, I want to say I think it's going to be Jon that takes out Dany because of her arc thus far. She has grown more and more powerful.
Yeah,
I think she's going to become more and more like her father, the Mad King, with the addition of dragons. And Jon is going to be the only person who we now know. Spoiler alert! If you're still listening to this episode at this point, you've probably caught up.
Yeah,
Jon, who is the rightful heir
to the throne,
and Dany still does not know that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to really set her off.
Yeah.
And so if Dany goes down, I want to say it's going to be Jon who does it.
I think so too. The people I don't want to die, I don't want to see Arya or Tyrion die. Those are the 2 characters. Or Jaime. I really like Jaime. Jaime's going to die.
Jaime's gone. I have grown to absolutely adore Jaime because of his character arc. He came from being the motherfucker that pushed Brandon out of the fucking window and crippled him.
Yeah.
And he was the most despicable character outside of, Joffrey.
Yeah.
He's now like one of the best characters on this show.
And he's the guy who stabbed Ned Stark in the back of the leg. And like he did the cheat, or he didn't, but he like did that, and then the guard did and stabbed him in the back of the leg. And like he was like the most horrible person, and he's like people's like fan favorite now. Like, he's redeemed himself, and Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who's the actor, is so good. And
I want to see him and Brienne of Tarth make it through.
Yes.
They're not.
No.
They're gonna go down.
So I think
I would like to make a retraction of that statement.
Okay.
There's 2 possibilities for Jaime.
Okay.
and they might both happen in the same timeline. Jaime will either go down in battle, or he's going to live through, and he will be the one to kill Cersei.
I have the same feeling. What I think they're going to do, I don't know. But you know how in the last season, Arya killed Walder Frey, and she took, like, the face off? I think one of those kind of moments is going to happen. But I hope... Here's what I think would be really cool. This is just something I think would be cool, because a little bit of the way George R. R. Martin thinks. They should do a double face-off. So they do it. It's Jaqen Hagar, so they got the red and white hair, who's like a man is like just a face. And then they do it again. And it's like, what?
They keep Scooby-Dooing it.
Yeah. I think that'd be so cool. Like, where like you think for an entire like time, or like maybe like it'd be really cool like if you do that and it's like Arya killed someone, and at the end of the episode, like in a post-credit thing, Arya takes her face off and it's Jaqen Hagar. It's like, wait, where's Arya been this entire time? Like, that'd be cool if that was the final scene of the final episode, was someone who's like sitting on the Iron Throne, they take their face off, and it's somebody else. Which implying
it
it could
make sense, but it would be like, what?
Yeah, that would like leave everyone with questions. Like, but it'd be leaving them with questions in the best way, because it means no one gets the Iron Throne. That'd be such a George R. R. Martin way to say, like, fuck you to everyone, but like no one gets it, but someone does.
Yeah. My second question for you was, is there anyone that you can say 100% guarantee will live?
I think Samwell Tarly is going to live, or at least his baby. I think the baby's going to live.
There will be a Sam.
Yes.
That lives, because the baby's name is Sam.
I think Sam is going to live. I think Varys is going to live. I don't think Varys is going to die. Like,
he's not going to be...
he's not
going to be in the battle.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
Varys has really, like, he's grown into, like, the good kind of conniving, like, cunning kind of dude that really is pulling a lot of strings. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't, like, Littlefinger type of shitweasel.
Yeah. So I think, like, he's sort of safe. You know who I don't want to see die? My favorite character in Game of Thrones is Sir Davos Seaworth. If Davos dies, I'm going to cry.
Oh, I'm going to be heartbroken if Davos goes.
He is my favorite character.
And Bronn. Bronn is such a smart
Bronn
ass,
and
like,
Davos.
Lovable dude.
I love both of them, but Davos is my favorite character in Game of Thrones. If he dies, there's going to be tears. I'm going to have tissues with me the entire time, because I can't see Sir Davos go.
He's been through so much.
I think Beric Dondarrion, the guy with the flaming sword who's been resurrected like 7 times, I think he's going to last longer than we think.
Yeah.
Because...
it would just be like... There would be no payoff to seeing him go down right away, because we've already seen him come back a million times.
Yeah, let me look something up. Who else do you think is completely safe?
It's hard to say how many people are completely safe outside of Sam. I think Sam is going to make it through, because I think he's going to be the one in the story who writes the Song of Ice and Fire in the history books of Westeros.
Yeah. I think it's going to be like the end of Lord of the Rings, where it's like, I've left the last page for you kind of thing.
Exactly that kind of thing. It's going to be like the last scene or something is going to be Sam sitting down at a table, like writing the first page of, like, you know, a Game of Thrones or something like that.
Yeah. I'm looking up. It's Thoros Emir is the person who resurrects Beric Dondarrion, but Thoros Emir is dead. He died in that battle. So now it's either Melisandre, because they're the same religion, has to resurrect him, and I think she's going to be in it. And I don't think we're going to see her until, like, we need to, because she's the one who resurrected Jon Snow. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to get killed early, and people are like, oh shit.
There's no bringing anyone back now.
Yeah, and I think
that would be a good story element to do. Like, hey, like, this rule is done.
Yeah, they have to kill that person off early before the battle, or someone's going to, like, backstab her or something. Or, like, at the very beginning, someone's going to shoot, like, an arrow right through her sort of thing. Because as soon as she's dead, then the stakes are real. Because as long as she's alive, people are going to be like, wait, she's like the opposite of the White Walker. She can also resurrect people. So it's not fair.
Right.
And I have a feeling this is a thing. You know how like the White Walkers can just keep re-resurrecting people? I think maybe there's going to be some magical element to eliminate that power from them. They're going to figure out a way to stop that, like that ability. And the actor who plays the Night King he has a Russian name. I think his name is like Vladimir. And he said the Night King is on a mission to do something. And he said the Night King isn't there to kill all of humanity. He's on a mission to stop something from happening. I think he's coming to get that baby from Sam, because that's like the baby was being offered as another White Walker. That's what they were doing at Craster's. Or he's coming to get Bran. Like he's on a mission to do. Like he's not like what he says. Like the Night King isn't evil. He's like a force of nature who needs something, and he's going to stop it.
We still don't know what that is. We have no idea of what their motivation is, other than just they're coming. They're not stopping. Yeah,
and I think that's going to be established. And I think I have a weird feeling. Like, here's a weird thing. You know how Bran did the Hodor thing to Hodor? Mm-hmm. He broke Hodor. What if he did the same thing to the Night King? Like, he broke the Night King, and so the Night King is like, I need to break this cycle so I can, like, re-normalify myself.
Perhaps. Yeah, there's a lot of speculation going around that Bran has something major to do with the Night King, whether he is the Night King or he's responsible for him. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah, maybe, because there's like the thing where it's like, well, the Night King could have killed all 3 dragons. He could have done this. He could have killed Jon Snow with those spears, but he didn't. He like held it. Because he wanted 1 dragon. He didn't need all of them. So like he's on a mission to do something. And people think that's Bran because in Game of Thrones lore, Bran the Builder is the guy who built the wall, and Bran Stark is named after him. And he destroyed the wall built by Bran. So there's like a thing there. It's like, oh, he's destroying Bran. So that's what people are thinking. And maybe when he kills Bran, he turns back into a dude. Like, he's just a guy then. He's trying to, like, just release himself from this. Like, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, like the Army of the Dead that Aragorn frees, maybe that's all they want. He's just like, I just want to be free. And he needs that piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, who do you think, of anybody you feel is going to go down in the Battle of Winterfell, who do you think is going to be coming back as a White Walker?
Oh, okay. Who do I think is coming back? So Arya's running from someone in that trailer. They're definitely... She saw someone die, and I think the Night King is just going to do one of these, and wherever they are on the battlefield, they're going to come back up. So I think she's in a room with someone who's dying.
Do you recognize where she's at in that part of the trailer?
Some people are thinking she's in King's Landing. That's what people have thought. Some people are like, have like skimmed through every part of that trailer for 1,000 times, and they're like, she's in King's Landing, maybe. But I think she's in the Winterfell like crypts, and they're resurrecting the dead bodies. That's what people have thought. Like, they're gonna bring back dead Ned Stark kind of thing, like a skeleton, and that's what she's running from.
Headless dead Ned Stark.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I've been thinking that, but do you know what Lady Stoneheart is in the books? It's reanimated Catelyn Stark with her throat slit.
Right. A lot of people thought there was going to be something with that, but it never came about.
Yeah, that never came about, and that's like kind of a fan favorite character. That's like Cold Hands, Benjen Stark, the uncle on the horse. People think maybe in the crypts they do like Lady Stoneheart for a second. They just do that where they resurrect dead Catelyn as like a zombie, and maybe that's what Arya's running from. Or I was thinking maybe it's I was thinking it could be like Brienne or the Hound, someone she trusts, and they go down and she sees him come back and she's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Or it could be completely nothing.
Yeah, it could be.
It could just be like a part of the marketing.
Yeah, it could be a part of the marketing, or she's just running to help someone else. Like, maybe she's not really running from anyone. She's running towards something.
Yeah.
Because no one really knows, because you don't see anything behind her for her to be running from. It's just she's sprinting down a hallway, and maybe, like, she hears, like, a noise, and she's like, uh-oh, I have to get over here. Instead of, I don't need to escape somebody, I need to save someone on the other end of the hallway.
Yeah. We will never know until...
I think, or it could be her direwolf chasing her, like Nymeria.
Oh no, I never thought about the direwolves being...
coming back.
White walked.
Yeah, because in one of the scenes, someone, like color graded it differently, or they, like, brighten the image up, and there's a scene of a bunch of, like, Dothraki, like, horsemen, and you see dog paws in the back. So it's either Ghost, which is Jon Snow's white direwolf, or it's probably Nymeria, who we saw in the last season as a giant direwolf. So people are thinking that. And then the books, they talk... I owe you another drink. So that's 4 drinks. And they talk about ice spiders. I want to see an ice spider.
Oh, fuck that noise. Ugh.
I want to see an ice spider. Because they've mentioned it in the show as well. They're like, yeah, like when the first... long winter happened, or the long night happened, the White Walkers rode ice spiders. Show me an ice spider. Because when they kept referencing giants, and then they showed giants and, like, those mammoths. Show me. I'm gonna go nuts if they show me a big ice spider. And where the hell is Viserion? Where's zombified Viserion? Because you see the hooves, which think Night King. I think that dragon's waiting for something. They just have him sitting in the back.
Who knows?
And does Zombie Dragon beat Normal Dragon?
Can Zombie Dragon beat... Well, It's just so hard to tell.
Yeah.
There's going to be so much shit that goes on in this season. It's just like... It's almost pointless to speculate, but it's fun.
It is. It's just really fun to speculate, and it's just really fun to think, like, of all the possibilities, because in a lot of other shows, they are like, oh, this is probably how it's going to end. But Game of Thrones has set a precedent for being like, you think this is how it's going to end? Nope. It's like, you just have to be like, I have to think outside the box. What is the weirdest thing that they could do? Or what is George R. R. Martin going to do to make us all sad? Because a lot of the actors have said, and they weren't, like, messing around just for publicity. Like, even on set, like, people who were on set were, like, texting it. Or just talking about, like, crew were like, yeah, there was a few times on set where people wouldn't talk to each other. And, like, there was, like, days on set where the crew's just silent. And apparently it wasn't the final day on set, because when you're filming, you don't film in chronological order.
Yeah, most of the time you don't. Yeah, right.
So... I don't know. Also, I think it'd be interesting to know what each person's last day on set was. I think that would just be really interesting from a film aspect. Be like, oh, so Cersei's last day on set was this time. And, like, Jaime's last day on set was this time. Or if it was, like, Jaime, Arya, Jon Snow, and Daenerys' last day on set was the same day, you're like, oh. So they all have to be, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of speculate then to be like, oh, so for season 8, they were only on set for a month, whereas, like, Jon Snow or Kit Harington was on set for 5 months, and Daenerys was on set for 9 months. Like to be like, interesting. Yeah. But they haven't released that. Like, even that they've kept under wraps, like how long they were actually on set. Mm-hmm. And there's been, like, things they did for the previous season. Maybe it was this season, because they've been filming this for 2 years, where they have false pictures from set. They have people in false costumes. And they had people in different places. So, like, there were scenes of, like, Lena Headey, who plays Cersei. And they had her in, like, Scotland, where they film, like, the winter scenes. But she was never in any of those scenes in the previous season. They brought her up there and had pictures with her up there. And people were like, oh, she's going to be at Winterfell. It was a fake out. Because they knew those pictures were going to leak, so they're doing things to fake people out.
Yeah, they're doing their own little counterintelligence.
Yeah, so...
I don't know about you, but one of the kind of reunions that I'm definitely looking forward to, and I think it's going to be amazingly heartwarming, is John and Arya.
Yes.
Because they have not been together since season 1 when he gave her needle.
Yes. That's one that I'm so excited for. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for Bran to see Jaime.
Yeah, that's going to be an awkward conversation.
Yeah, I think...
Though, like, Bran has, like, no human emotion left, almost.
Yeah, he has turned himself into a legitimate carrot. Like, he has the emotional complexity of a carrot now. He's like, so yeah, I'm like a tree now. So, yeah, and I broke Hodor. Sorry about that. Yeah, he hasn't told anyone he broke Hodor. That's a conversation we all should have. Like, when people meet up with Bran, he's like, so besides the fact that I'm a tree and that I can turn into animals and see the past, I'm the reason Hodor said Hodor, and it means hold the door, and I'm sorry. Like, that would be an incredibly good conversation. Like, I broke Hodor. And, like, just one of those situations. I just think there's so many things that, like, would be interesting if you could write an episode of Game of Thrones, like a fan film, where it's, like, just them sitting in, like, the Hall of Winterfell, and it's like, where's Hodor? Or, like, where's Rickon, who Ramsay Bolton killed? And John's like, oh, yeah, he got killed by Ramsay Bolton. People are like, who the hell's Ramsay Bolton? And just having them, like, tell the story to each other, I think that'd be really interesting. Because, like, you have to realize in the show, the characters don't know what's happening to the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That one?
There's so many characters that have yet to, like, come back together or to meet in general. It's just, like, there's so many different ways these things could go. Like, I really think, like, if Bran and Jaime do actually, like, meet and talk, it's really just going to be, like, Jaime kind of comes to, like, a reckoning with, like, hey, like, I know I crippled you and broke you, basically, so, like, I am sorry. If he is, like, developed into that kind of remorseful character, and Bran is just going to be like, you made me who I am.
Thanks.
That's all there is to say about it.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to be like, moving on.
Yeah. I think there's an image online. I'll try to link it in the description of this podcast, but it has to do with, it looks like a roadmap, and it's all the characters, and there's, like, faces, and then there's a color, and it's who's met each other before and who hasn't. And it's really interesting, or, like, when they met each other, when they cross paths, or, like, then they're, like, together. But there's some characters you would have thought had met each other in the show who have no idea who each other are. Like, I think a lot of them have to do with Daenerys.
Yeah, because she was off doing her own thing, like, just trying to get to...
Yeah. Like,
get across the narrow sea.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
While
everybody else was doing their shit.
Yeah, I think Jorah Mormont, Lord Friendzone, I have almost a feeling he won't die. I don't know.
It's hard to tell with him. Because he came so close when he got, like, the grayscale.
Right? It'd be weird if he actually died now. But I could see them, like, doing, like, a sacrifice thing. Or I could see him sacrificing himself for Daenerys.
Oh, he would absolutely do that.
I think that might be how he goes. Or he attempts to, and Daenerys still dies, and he isn't able to save her. I think that'd be interesting.
Whoa. What if it's... Oh, fuck. What if it's... he wouldn't.
Wait.
No. Jorah would not be the one to kill Dany.
What if, like, Jon isn't, and it's one of those things where she's like, I'm going to kill everybody? Like, it's one of those, like, crack a few eggs to make an omelet, and Jorah, and they look at each other, and Jorah's like, I gotta do this.
I would love that so much, because it would be just, like, the complete antithesis of, like, what he was before, where he was just like, I am at your bidding, Khaleesi, and all that
shit.
But now he's the one that brings her down because he sees, like, the monster she's become.
Yeah.
If that's how it goes.
I think
maybe she kills Jon, Jorah kills her.
Yeah, like something like that. I think it'd be interesting because she's going to realize that she's his aunt. And then she's going to be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He's ahead of me in line.
Yeah, Benioff and Wise cannot just not touch that. They have to reckon with, like, the fact that they are related, and she does not belong on the throne.
Yeah, he does. And she can't even be queen because they're siblings, and, like, he'd have to marry someone else.
Yeah, they can't kill off one of those characters before they have that conversation.
Yeah, I have a very big feeling that's going to... It would be all the fans. There's going to be tears. But I could see that happening. Like, Daenerys kills Jon. Someone tries to kill Daenerys, and then Jorah kills Daenerys. And it's like one of those things where it's like a domino effect. People just keep killing each other because it's like they're all in the room together. And it's like, who shot first? Mm-hmm. And everyone ends up dead in that room.
Yeah. And I think the only way that possible like line of story could happen is if all the dragons are dead.
Yeah,
because those dragons are protecting Dany no matter what. The ones that are not like
zombified,
ice walkered.
Yeah, I have a feeling the last thing there's going to be a dragon egg before the show's over. They're going to find an egg,
petrified or a fresh one.
I don't know.
Like how they originally came.
Yeah, petrified like that. Just like there's like maybe like the final thing, like let's say the final scene of the final episode, someone else becoming king and getting like the coronation, and the gift is an egg, and that's how it ends.
Maybe
that would be a really cool ending, and that's all it is. Like you open the box and you see like the tip of the egg, like the very bottom of an egg, and it ends.
But in order for that to even be like important, I guess there would still need to be
a Targaryen,
a blood member of the Targaryens that could do something with that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like in theory, like what if there was like an epilogue, like the end of Harry Potter, where it's like 25 years later, sort of thing, and then there's like a kid who has blonde hair. You're like, oh my god, that's a Targaryen, like a little kid, like a 10-year-old, and then they bring him a gift and they open it. It's just the bottom, like you see the quickest sliver of an egg, and it ends. That'd be so cool if that's how it ended, and then people would be like, it starts over again. I think
that's another thing. Like, if the throne is there and someone is sitting at it in the end, like, are they going to try and establish like that? Okay, everyone accepts who's on the throne, or are they going to leave it open ended to like, well, like, war is just going to keep going. There's always going to be the war for the throne, or there's always going to be people that are jockeying to get on that. Like, this is just is that going to be like the kind of theme of the show? And in the end, it's just like you're always going to have someone after your head because someone thinks they deserve that throne.
I think so, because that's kind of what the show has taught us a lot of times. Where even if someone's right, they'll get killed because it's just power, and that's all people really want at the end of the day. And like, even if a good person's on the throne, it's still the throne. Like, even like after all of this, because like I think that's why they're doing the that prequel series, to show like this isn't the first time some horrible shit's happened. It's like a cycle. And then as soon as this is over, maybe the final scene will be like, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting, like, because like the White Walkers are created with the dagger through the heart with the children of the forest. It'd be interesting if like maybe the final shot was like that egg thing, and then you just saw someone open their eyes and they're blue. Like something like that. Like those two setups where it's like you have ice and fire are still there forever.
Yeah. My final question for this whole conversation for you is not taking into account anything about like bloodlines, lineages.
Yeah.
People that are supposed to be on the throne. Who do you think of the main players deserves to sit on the throne?
Tyrion.
And would be the best ruler.
Tyrion. 100% Tyrion. Because he's seen people be kings. He's seen people get killed as kings. He's been bullied, and he's a nice guy. Like, he gets...
Do you think the power would corrupt him, though?
Ooh. He does like hanging out with prostitutes. And he's been shown to not always be the best person.
I don't know if he would take the throne.
Yeah.
Given the opportunity, I don't think he would say yes.
I think maybe the best leader, it'd be such a good, like, not fake out, but if Gendry got the throne. Where they're like...
he's...
kind of in
line.
He
was in line as far as Baratheons go.
Yeah.
He was the next in line.
I think he would be good. Tyrion, Samwell. Those three.
Podrick the fuck machine.
Podrick on the throne. Okay. Podrick is such a little goof. Have you seen Podrick in real life?
I've not.
He's like a Hollister model. Like, that's what he looks like. And you're like, that's like the kid who played, he's in Harry Potter. He looks like Henry Cavill now. It's, people are screaming at me about this one.
The one that was like chubby.
Yeah, like the doofy looking kid. What's his name? It's,
what is his name?
I'm looking this up. This is how much of a Harry Potter.
But yeah, by the 7th movie, he was a fucking stud.
Yeah, it's Harry Potter cast. What's his name? Oh, Neville Longbottom, Matthew Lewis.
That's right.
That's what Podrick looks like in real life. That kid's a snack, and it's like, what? This kid's like crazy, but he's the most Scottish person ever. Like, if you hear him in an interview, or maybe he's Welsh. He's either Welsh or Scottish, and I'm like, dude, are you even speaking English? Like, he has such a thick accent. He speaks so quickly. I'm like, I need subtitles, and we speak the same language. But yeah, I think they'd all be good. I think another good leader would be Brienne.
Brienne? I don't know.
Or Jaime. Jaime'd be a good leader. Like, and that'd be a redemption for him as the Kingslayer to become a king.
Maybe.
That'd be kind of a cool, like, oh, you've come full circle.
My pick, after season 7 especially, like, my pick kind of changed after at the end of season 7. I think Sansa would be a very good leader.
You're right.
I think she's had the most, like, challenging journey up to this point.
So she would get it.
Like, she's been in a noble family with the Starks. She has been at the bottom of the barrel when she was being subjected to all sorts of horrible shit between Joffrey and
Ramsay.
And at one point I was thinking, like, oh, she's on a dark path, but then the whole thing with her and Arya, like, pulling a fast one on Littlefinger.
Yeah.
I thought that set her right back on the good path. I think she would be a very good leader.
I think she would too, and I know Jon and Dany are not going to be on the throne. They're not going to get it. They're too obvious.
Right.
I think them, and I think, you know who should sit on the throne? The Night King. Just have him sit on the throne at the end. And just
say, fuck it.
The last scene is just him like, well, I did it. And that's it. But yeah, so that was our Game of Thrones talk. Ben, I have a recommendation for this week. The new season of Barry comes out on Sunday.
It does.
Yeah, season 2 of Barry. So that's my recommendation, and Game of Thrones. So, duh. Do you have one?
Sticking with HBO, the final season of Veep also premieres
on
Sunday.
Okay, so your recommendation is Veep?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's been an amazing show. It's so funny. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is such a funny actress.
What a legend.
All the supporting cast in this show is just phenomenal.
Tony Hale is the best.
Tony Hale's awesome. Yeah, just go watch it, everybody.
100%.
Yeah, 30-minute shows. You'll get through it real quick.
Yeah. I'm signing off. Ben, do you want to close this out?
Let's close it out. As always, for Russell, we want to say thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in with us. We hope to see you next week. We hope... Whoa, cat, get away from my computer. This is... Holy Jesus, cat.
This is how we end the show. Ben actually had a cat.
This is Ben Simmons takes a show about everything and nothing. Thank you guys. Goodbye.